Sue, would you like to come up to the stage, please? So, your very old LinkedIn photo that you've taken down. All right, folks, kicking off our next hour of speakers, we have Sue from UniSuper, who many will remember from last year, talking about how to IAM when you're not a bank. And this year, I believe we're talking about developing an IAM talent pipeline. So take it away, Sue, and you've got 20 minutes.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for having me again this year. Clearly you didn't learn your lesson last year. Thanks, guys. So this is more of a conversation piece. This is really a discussion. I should use a clicker. There we go. It's a discussion about something that I'm really passionate about. I'm by no means an expert. I just have lots of opinions, and that seems to be why people get me to speak, because I'm just very opinionated. So this is about developing an IAM talent pool. Before I start on that though, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're sitting in and I'm presenting from, who are the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. So why am I speaking about this now? Why is this a problem right now? Because IAM is hot right now. It's everywhere. There's so much work. Most organizations have been obliged to uplift their security with all of the breaches that are happening. Auditors are hot on the heels of IAM in most organizations now, even the ones that weren't in the past. Now they're being asked by auditors to build an IAM program and fast. So, and our little talent pool just can't keep up with all of that work. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Clearly I'm not a technology person. There you go. So why is this especially hard for us? Security, as in general, is in the same boat. They're fighting for talent, they're having to build their programs, and it's hard for them, but it's even harder for us. At least that's my opinion. They might debate that. But it's because IAM is a means to manage other things, govern other things, and that means we need to understand all of those things. We don't exist in a vacuum. We need to understand what we're governing, what we're securing, what we're automating, who we're doing it for, and we want to know how to do it in the best way possible. IAM is also the most visible part of security, so we need to understand and be mindful of user experience. We need to keep an eye on those auditors. We're also the low-hanging fruit for hackers. It's been said a few times, identity is what is always part of almost every breach. Oh, I keep pressing that button. And there are so many concepts to learn. It's such a complex domain. So this is just a brainstorm I did of all of the concepts that we need to be mindful of as an identity professional. And they're technical and they're non-technical and they're just so broad. And this is just a brainstorm. I'm sure there's more. I realized before when Jeff was speaking, I left out KYC, know your customer. So there's one that's not up there. And on top of that, there are so many vendors operating in this space. Also not a complete list. There's more. Apologies to anyone I've left out. This is just something I grabbed on the internet and then tried to find extra vendor icons for ones that I know of. I tried to represent everybody. And all of these products have very unique and specific ways of doing things. So knowing one doesn't necessarily help you with another one. You need to relearn so much. Some of them you can customize to the point that they're almost development platforms, or they actually are development platforms. One identity. So what am I worried about? Why does this problem worry me so much? And what am I seeing in this space? I think because there's so much work and we're asked to operate so quickly, everything's changing so quickly, there's so many elements we need to be aware of. I'm finding that a lot of people that I'm working with might not be able to keep up with that. Our talent pool just can't keep up with the amount of knowledge that we need to have and the skills that we need to have. There's also a lot of shortcut career progression. I'm seeing people just joining IM and then suddenly being thrust into quite complex projects that they might not be ready for. So what do I think is the perfect IM being? What do I think is going to make the best outcomes in the space of identity? They're actually not necessarily technical skills. So facilitation, we need to be able to facilitate conversations with our stakeholders, with our customers. Written and verbal communication, always a classic. Needing to understand delivery methodologies and how to operate within a delivery framework. Architecture best practice. We need to understand the why of what we're doing. So we need to have drunk the Kool-Aid. I think a lot of us in the IM bubble, as Jeff referred to it as, we've all drunk the Kool-Aid. We believe passionately in what we're doing, and we have so much pride in getting good outcomes, the best outcomes, and we have pride in our domain and what we're trying to achieve. Not everybody that joins IM has that. It's just a job for them. So I'd really love to see us build that passion and get everyone to drink Kool-Aid. People need to be able to work in a team. You'll very rarely find identity projects being delivered by a single individual because they're just too complex. I have done that as a consultant. It is not fun. Business analysis skills, process mapping, data analysis and cleansing. Hands up with those who have spent hours poring over Excel spreadsheets. Thank you. Troubleshooting and root cause analysis, going through those logs at 9 p.m. at night. The ability to find information when people don't or can't give you the information that you need. Understanding server and infrastructure administration, I think, is a massive help, particularly since that's the main thing as identity professionals will probably be looking to secure. HR systems, it's our source of truth, and HR systems have various quirks, like they have a date that changes are effective. The org structure and the hierarchy of the data within HR systems is a little bit quirky, and if you don't understand it, it's not going to be easy to. I wrote too many notes here. It's not going to be easy to then use that information as our source of truth to drive all of that thinking, and the AI that Sophie talked about. It's such an important information feed. The ability to do deep work and also to come up again to do those conversational aspects or the big picture context roadmap thinking, being able to teach, mentor and manage knowledge. And knowledge management is a big thing in our space, and I'm not sure everyone's doing it effectively. I don't think it's something we really learn. So throwing out to the audience now, what are some other skill sets you think, other than the obvious technical ones, that you think help or you would like to see? Really hard being up here when no one says anything. That's why I responded to Sophie. Unicorns, yeah. Yeah, I just described a unicorn. Definitely agree. Sophie, you're returning the favour.
coping up with the business process changes, right? Convincing the different stakeholders in how they can stick onto certain processes. Because some people may tell, okay, I need 10 workflows or 10 approvals. The other group may say I need 5, right? But providing that consulting and bringing them into a common understanding and convincing them on those business processes is a big challenge, I would say.
Negotiation skills, yes. And the change management skills, I think that's a big one. If we want our projects to land, if we want to actually deliver benefits, we need to make sure that what we've put in actually gets taken up. There's no point building a perfect system that never gets used.
So I just got a quick one. I think you need to have a great poker face.
Yes.
Because when you come across the horror, that is whatever you're going to work on, you can't be too shocked.
It's why we have jobs, though. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Look on the positive side. This is where we can go with this. The only way is up. So obviously, it's a unicorn person that has all of those skills. Thank you, Nat. But how do we build that into a team? I think our best identity teams are going to have all of those skills and all of that knowledge. And the best way to support that diversity of thought, diversity of skill sets and knowledge, I think is this sort of structure. By the way, confession, I did my first run through last night, and I got to this slide and I really struggled to talk to it. So I think I put too many concepts on one slide. So let's see how I go. So I've in my experience with teams, I think having a diamond-shaped team is probably the best compromise between having all of those skill sets supported and represented, but also being efficient. So I think a lot of organizations try to go for a more pyramid-shaped team where you've got a lot of juniors and then not many seniors to support those juniors. Whereas I think having this diamond shape where you've got a handful of leads, so people who've got really broad, deep experience, who can set roadmaps, visions, and can also communicate that vision out to the team. They're also looking at your best practice and making sure that the team are following best practices. Then having a big, bulky number of intermediate sort of experienced people who can work independently, but are still going to benefit from that vision, direction, best practice from your more senior leads. And then at the bottom, a smaller set of juniors going to be mentored and supported constantly on a day-to-day basis, mainly by those intermediates, and that's why there's so many intermediates, because they have to be supporting those juniors. But they've also got the benefit of being in meetings, and make sure you do stick them in front of the leads. Don't keep them out of those meetings, because you want to have them exposed to what those leads are saying and that best practice, the vision, the why. And then you've got your T-shaped skill sets. I think some of you might have heard of, where you're jack of all trades and a master of a few. So you have deep skill sets in one or a couple of areas, but then you've got sort of some level of experience across a broad set of skill sets. Now, because of the complexity in technology that we're dealing with, we're also going to need I-shaped individuals. They don't have those broad skill sets. They're very, very deep in one area. You don't want to have a whole team of these, because then you're going to get siloing and tunnel vision. The whole adage of, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You don't want to have that situation either. So you want to have a bit of a mix. And then overlaying what we were talking about before, we want to have a mix of technical and business skills. And ideally, we're not separating these into separate sets of people, but you've got an overlap in individuals, that individuals, as many individuals as you can in your team, have both. So I forgot to mention, the other thing that you want to have is at least a handful in each of these layers of really passionate, curious individuals who have the drive to develop themselves up the diamond. leading to development paths. So I've split all of those levels out, and we've got technical and non-technical represented here. Now, in this case, I'm talking more about roles and tasks, that you want to have experience in both tasks of a technical or roles of a technical and non-technical nature. This was my journey. So I started new to the workforce as a graduate, joined as a junior technical resource. Then I moved up into being an intermediate technical resource purely for having been there for long enough. Switched over to being a BA for a while. As an intermediate BA, I had been in the workforce for a while. I was working within my domain, so identity BA, so I got to join as an intermediate BA. After that, moved back into a senior technical role. Then I was a Scrum Master, so sort of senior non-technical. It wasn't quite as linear as that. I moved back and forth a lot, and now I'm managing a team at UniSuper. So now I'm a lead. So that's really what you want. You want that zigzagging across this as much as you can. And you'll notice that there's a couple of entry points, a couple of people we can utilize to grow our identity pool of resources. So we've got the obvious new to workforce. We've also got return to workforce, so people who take a break and then come back, and career change. So particularly now with the government sponsoring security courses and things like that, there's a real opportunity for us to still career change people who've got skills in other areas that we can foster. Now, if you're developing yourself or you're developing a team of individuals or other individuals, there's so many avenues to build your skill sets. There's the obvious, there's the training courses, the paid ones that are either product specific or domain concept specific. But then beyond that, you've got so many other resources available to you, which I think are way more effective. So there's webinars, podcasts, blogs. I like to listen to a podcast called Identity at the Center because they're kind of fun, down-to-earth guys. I reckon I'd love to have a beer with one of them. Shadowing and pairing are my two favorite up here because you're actually in the day-to-day work. You're sitting there, you're seeing how it's done, the thought processes people going through. Obviously, shadowing is a bit more passive. You have one individual who's just kind of watching the other individual work. Pairing is by far the best way of learning, I think, and both individuals are doing the work together. It's not a waste of time. It's not inefficient. I truly believe in the whole, the outcome is greater than the sum of the individuals. You're going to get better quality, less rework, all of those things. Teaching someone else, again, old adage, you don't really know something until you've had to teach somebody else that thing. Documenting, on a similar vein, don't know something until you've had to document it. Rotation of roles, to get people really specialised in one area so they can really focus on it, but then rotate them out, rotate people through it. Secondments in and out of identity, so being able to draw on skills from other areas, other domains, and also building skills in other domains by rotating people out. Industry forums such as this, these are a great source of knowledge and a great way to learn about the latest and ways of doing things in identity and other people's problems, pain points, which are often the same as yours. It's kind of a bit cathartic being able to go to these forums and talking to people about the problems they're having. Organizational forums within your own organization. So I was part of a knowledge management community of practice, which was fantastic. Even going to your regular change board, technology change board, I think can give you lots of context around what's going on in the organization. Please do that. Having long-running teams and squads so that you can really learn from other people and develop skill sets across the team. I think people learn best when they're relaxed and they trust the people they're learning with. So being able to build relationships with someone and then learning from them, it's going to get a lot more bang for buck. Having genuine curiosity. It's more for an individual. I haven't quite worked out how to cultivate this in somebody else, but try your best if you're a learner to cultivate genuine curiosity in yourself, because that's how things really stick, is how you build a framework of the things that you learn, that you're able to form connections and care about why something matters when you learn it. So we're all in this together. This is our problem as an identity ecosystem, identity community. So you've got all of the people represented in here and online. We're all in this together. You're going to have people leaving one organisation, going to another organisation. You're going to have partners come in and do work for you. You've got your product vendors creating the products for you and providing support for you. We're all in it together. I like the last one because we can steal from other domains. So my ask of the audience is, we're all part of this talent ecosystem, as I said. Let's prioritise the long game. Don't just focus on getting the tasks done. We're not in there just to deliver projects. We're in there to deliver outcomes. So for those of you who might not have ever been part of a business case, people raising business cases make big promises to the organisation. It's the worst thing when you get to the end of the project, vendors left, and you haven't landed those benefits. So whenever you're delivering a project, make sure you understand what the benefits were that were promised, so you can focus on delivering those. And we want to prioritise the long game from the perspective of building individuals who can think that way, who can think about the actual benefits they're delivering. I didn't actually check how long I took doing this, because this is now saying 1 hour and 38 minutes. I don't think I spoke for that long.
I think you're spot on.
Oh, awesome.
So questions for Sue, and I'll lead off while people are thinking. So of those different learning opportunities and those ways of growing the talent pipeline, Sue, what are you trialling at UniSuper at the moment?
All of them. At the moment, really focusing on the pairing and shadowing and documenting. I think most organisations are suffering from this. Having that churn of resources means that you're constantly training new people up. It's quite painful, and it means that you're always running a bit behind in terms of how much you can deliver your output. So we're really focusing on getting people to document things as they're learning things, because that helps us build our knowledge base as well. And then having people pair and shadow.
Any questions for Sue?
Probably would like to add to, if you allow me, to one of those opportunities, and mainly from the technical skilled side of thing, is perhaps the opportunity for leaders in the identity space to cultivate running labs or basically because these days most of those products that we see in the identity space are available for trial, licensing, or are actually quite easy to spin. So perhaps learning by doing is one of those opportunities that I see as well, being important in there to kind of increase or promote that knowledge in the technical space.
That's a great one. And something I forgot to add is an ask for all the leaders out there is to create space and time for your people to actually develop and learn, and that would be a great way to spend time and actually organise it that way to create those learning labs. Great point. Cool. That's it.
That
Thanks.
might be it, folks.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Big round of applause for Sue.